I'm really well. Great to join you actually, and I just want to thank everybody involved with the Fair Game campaign. And I know it's the manifesto launch today, and I'll say something about that in a second. I've been involved with the group led by David Bernstein as well, and I think what this shows is there's just a growing consensus amongst everybody that this is a moment for change in English football. I was involved years ago with the football task force. I was the person who was kind of the driving force behind it, going back to the late 90s. I would defy anybody in English football to say that the challenges that we have in the game today were not predicted, because they were predicted. The increasing and unregulated commercialization of the game was increasingly threatening the integrity of competition and the cohesiveness, if you like, of English football. All of that was predicted back then. But back then, I can remember the voices saying, "It's all fine. We don't need any more regulation." And football has been good at fighting off these kind of attempts at change in the past. But I feel at the moment there's just a groundswell of people coming from all different quarters, actually, that change is needed. And I think what sets your initiative apart is the fact that it's so club driven, 23 values-driven clubs across England and Wales, obviously with lots of expert support behind you as well, and cross-party support from politicians. I think it's great that you've managed to pull that together. And I think the manifesto that you've developed is just entirely reasonable and should be a basic common ground, really, for anybody who cares about the future of English football. We've allowed our game to be sort of, if you like, too open to the whims of the market on the global market. Everything to be bought and sold, and we've got to get back to a kind of view of protecting the best interests of our game, being open to improvement and inward investment, of course, all of those things, but at the same time making sure that we protect these great clubs of ours for future generations. That notion of a sustainability index seems to me to be unanswerable. Who could argue against that? We've had a situation in the last year. If I just talk about Greater Manchester for a moment, we've had a situation where we've potentially been losing clubs at either end. Obviously, we've seen the threat to Wigan Athletic. We've seen what's been happening at Bolton Wanderers. There are challenges at Oldham Athletic at the moment. But the big example is, of course, Bury. That's the salutary lesson here. Gig Lane is a monument to failed football regulation and governance. It's the proof that the status quo hasn't worked. And I think, knowing the pain that that's caused Bury fans, I think we all owe it to them to say never again should we allow a huge name in English football, an FA Cup winner, literally to be ripped out of a community in the way that club has been. So the sustainability index, yes, but then the independent regulator. The situation that we have a league regulating clubs where it's in the interest of the league, if you like, to try and bring in any type of ownership and almost kind of open the door to whoever. Well, it just hasn't worked. They have not implemented rules that are strong enough to ensure the fitness of people to come in to run these clubs, the propriety of potential owners, and history has shown us that those structures do not provide sufficient protection. So, I fully support an independent regulator backed by legislation, appointed by government. I think the time has come, and the time has come for clubs themselves to step forward and say, this is what we need. And that's why your initiative is so important. If I could just say something about protection of a club's heritage and traditions, I think this is a thing that matters massively to me. I was involved in the setting up of Supporters Direct many years ago, and this was trying to do the same thing by obviously increasing supporter ownership of football clubs. And many of your members, obviously, are very, they are today because of some of the support that Supporters Direct provided. I'm thinking of Cambridge United, particularly AFC Wimbledon, of course, Chester FC. You know, we did do something to change the way clubs were run, and we did do something to improve supporter ownership. But actually, can we get to our dream of a German model in England through that route by change from the bottom up? Well, if we can, it's going to take many, many years, isn't it? You know, the 50+1 idea is great in theory, but how can it be delivered in practice? That's why I think the notion of giving fans a final say on any proposed changes to the club's crown jewels, be it the name, the nickname, the colours, the badge, the geographical location in which the club plays, and doing that through, I would say, a 50+1 arrangement of the season ticket holder base, for instance, you know, making sure that there is that guarantee, if you like, on the traditions of the club, and that no change, fundamental change, can be made without it. So that would have protected clubs that we've lost at the lower end of the game, but it would also have stopped the Super League situation. And obviously we have seen here how close we came in Manchester to losing some of our biggest names to English football. So I'll probably leave it there. I'm sure you want to hear from other speakers. You know, all of that won't work alone unless we've also got an English football system that recycles the benefits of running an English pyramid right the way down that pyramid. More Premier League revenue coming out of the top of the game and coming back into all levels of the pyramid seems to me to be essential if we're to preserve the health of this game that we all love so much. Reforming some of the parachute payments and the other things that have caused an inflationary effect in parts of the Football League. All of that needs to be looked at, and massive changes to the way clubs pay agents. It's all there. Your manifesto, if implemented, I think would have the support, I would say, of 90% plus of football supporters in this country. It doesn't in any way drag the English game down. It just secures it for future generations. It secures our clubs. It deserves our support. I'm here to give my support to your manifesto. We need to make this a moment of unstoppable momentum for change in English football. You know, as I say, 30 years ago, I heard those voices on the task force saying, don't do anything, it's all fine, nothing to worry about. Well, that hasn't been the case, because we've seen what's happened to English football since then. Left to market forces, we will be left with a game that doesn't work further down the line. It's time to change. Fair game in the wider interests of football, absolutely. You've got my full support. I'm pretty confident I'm speaking for pretty much all of Greater Manchester in backing what you're saying. People are behind it. Good luck to you all, and thank you for letting me speak at this launch event today.